Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special best practice webinar. This is the last best practices webinar of 2025. I can't believe the year is over, and we really have a stellar crew here today. Our conversation, we could have gone on. We did a dry run, as you know. We always do a dry run the day before, and then it takes on a life of its own today as well. It's never exactly the same, but I think we could have gone on another hour or two. We won't do that to you, but it is just such a enjoyment. I get so much enjoyment talking to our clients and learning from them, and I think that they talked about how much they learned from each other. Some quick thing, housekeeping. By the way, sorry about my voice. It went downhill after I talked to them yesterday. Not that I was screaming or anything like that, but so just kind of have them talk a lot more and me talk a lot less, which I think will make everybody happy. Um, these are always recorded, so it'll go up on our YouTube channel either later today or tomorrow. And you can find that at transfinder.com. On the top left corner, you'll see the YouTube icon. So if there's things that you want your team to see, things you want your school board or superintendent to see, um, you will have all that opportunity to share that with them. The other thing is there's a question area. There's a chat area and a question Q&A area. We prefer that you put your Q&A area, your questions or your comments in the Q&A area, because then it's kind of captured for us post webinar, and then we can address things. And so I think running the back end is Arnold Bird, and he's with our sales enablement team, and he is going to probably answer some of your questions in real time. But if you have a question that you want to ask somebody specifically during the webinar, or you want to open it up to all the panelists, feel free, or you want to make your own comment. Like, here's what we did. I will try to get your comments embedded in the conversation. So, without further ado, I want to just introduce our panelists. If you could go to our next slide, Arnold. Thanks so much. I want to again thank our panelists because it is a time commitment being a part of this, but they added so much to our conversation yesterday. We have Elizabeth Bank with Van Buren Public Schools in Michigan, Matt Fuller with Talladega City Schools in Alabama, Jason Hibbard with Chenango Central Valley School District in New York, not too far from us here in Transfinder. Kevin McCafferty, he's with Colorado Springs School District 11. They go by D11, right, Kevin?
Yeah, D11.
D11. Bob Martin, who is with Mount Vernon School Corporation in Indiana, sorry. And Shay Marstaller, who is our sales engineer, is going to give a little bit of some of you, he's been a trainer. He's also now with sales enablement. And so he can definitely talk. He's been on many of your sites and can talk about some of the concerns people have about technology and why they should not be as concerned as they may be. So, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Shay.
Awesome. Thank you, Rick. Good morning, everybody. I'm happy to be here with y'all. Arnold, if you wouldn't mind, let's go to the next slide here. Before I get into some of my pieces here, I just wanted to talk about technology and what that means to us as people, right? Humanity is an interesting concept where our earliest ancestors, they worked to try and improve their lives by creating tools, right? Well, what is technology but a tool? And so when we look at how humanity struggles with incorporating these new tools and these new ideas, if you take a step back and you look at what the process is and how we adapt to that, I always taught folks whenever I trained them, whenever I was our trainer, hey, you just put one foot in front of the other. You just put one foot in front of the other, you take that next step, and all of a sudden you turn around and you've gone 10 miles, right? And so making sure that you are facing these new challenges that are coming up in your districts, what with it being more parental demands, more oversight demanded from you, maybe driver shortages, vehicle shortages, all sorts of different things that are popping up consistently. How are we able to utilize these new sets of tools, i.e., our technology, to help us do these jobs that maybe we've just done in the past, all by hand, all manually, or using potentially outdated systems, right? Arnold, go ahead and go to that next slide for me, sir. And so what we're able to do with this technology is simplify some of your planning, allow you to track costs, coordinate your calendars, whether it's through Tripfinder, Routefinder Plus, so on and so forth. Arnold, go ahead and skip over to the next slide if you don't mind. Being able to, make your workflow manage a little bit easier, and make sure that you guys are on top of everything that y'all need to do in real time. So when we incorporate a technology suite that is connected and us to move forward and see much higher level oversight within our business and our day-to-day operations, from managing workflows from your district, from your parents, to also managing the financial side, the back end, right? And we see so many districts these days struggling with all of that back end, all of these little minute details that make up your entire operation, from managing your staff to managing your assets, your vehicles, and everything that comes in between. Go ahead and go next slide, Arnold. Now, I don't want to take away from our fantastic panelists here. So my whole impassioned speech here, I've worked with some of our panelists here. I just want to make sure that everybody that is attending is aware. Some of these folks have gone through the stresses and the struggles of adapting new technology. They've been where some of you guys are at right now, thinking of going through this, and we want to hear from them directly. But I'm going to encourage y'all. It's just the first step. All you got to do is take that first step. And I'll hand it back over to you, Rick.
Shay, that's awesome. Thank you so much. And I want you guys to know Shay's on here. He's going to stay on with us. So if anybody has any questions and they want to ask something for Shay as well, and Arnold is very adept as well, so he'll be answering questions. I didn't do this in the beginning, but why don't you just show that there are people out there in the Q&A land? Tell me where you're coming from and what's the temperature like where you are? Shay, where is it? You're in Texas, right? I heard you all, so I'm assuming you're not in New York.
Well, if the giant longhorn on my wall behind me didn't give it away. Yeah, I'm down here in Austin, Texas, born and raised. I'm one of the rare ones. I know you guys in the Northeast are gonna hate me, but I am freezing. It is 55 degrees. I know that is nothing compared to y'all.
My son lives in Miami, and I get daily pictures of the palm trees. I'm getting a little tired of it. So please go ahead and answer. And there we go. We got Tucson, Arizona, 62. Thank you, Audrey. Um, all right. So I'll look at that, but please keep those questions coming. Any thoughts you have, and we will address them. We got 28 heavy snow in northern Ohio. Sorry about that, Jennifer, unless you like to go sledding. So, all right. New Jersey, cold 33. All right, I could keep doing this all day. I do like this stuff. All right, I'm gonna go. We're gonna just go around the horn a couple times with our panelists, and then we're gonna get into the nitty gritty. Southern Illinois, 34 degrees. Thanks, Crystal. All right, Elizabeth, tell me a little bit about your career and how long you've been at your district, and a little bit about your district in terms of how many students you have, how many you're transporting, a
Yeah.
little bit about your sense of place. And thank you for
Okay.
joining us.
I've been with the district for about 25 years. I have been the supervisor now for 7. Our district is 88 square miles. It's comprised of 6 different municipalities and 2 counties. So we have a rather large area. We transport about 2,500 students, which is a little over half of our student population. And we moved to Transfinder because the system that we were using was more like cutting and pasting a map sheet together. And we knew that we needed to overcome a lot of challenges with staffing issues. We were suffering a huge shortage of drivers after COVID, and during COVID, it was really rough. We had a lot of older staff that retired during that time. So it left us with the same amount of kids, but half of the staff. So moving through that and into trying to navigate and make things a little bit easier for our office staff, we went on a journey to find the correct solution for our issues. And we landed with Transfinder and a whole suite of services that we are using through Transfinder. We use Plus, We use Wayfinder, we use StopFinder, and we really have cut down on calls in our office. We've been able to hire and maintain staff because we don't hand them a piece of paper and tell them to go find it. Wayfinder with the tablet system is amazing, and our staff really likes being able to have that pinpoint directionality.
So did you mention you go through your 2 counties, 6 municipalities, a lot of
Yep.
complexities,
Yep.
and you did it with it was like a state-run technology that was kind of created by the state, correct?
Yep.
And how was it moving was there like some trepidation, like when you went from that, even though you didn't like the way it worked, to try something new?
Well, no, what we had to do was get the backing of the district because previously that solution was free to the district. And then they decided that they were going to start charging. So I went in with, hey, if we're going to pay for a service, we should pay for something that is going to be something that we can actually utilize and get what we need out of. So we went on a years long journey to find the right solution for us. And once we found it, the school board said, okay, we started I think we had our county maps were done within 2 months. And then we started our training systems. We were up and running our systems all go within 6 months.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we'll come back. And I know you have a lot of great stories, and I do want to come back. So thank you. Matt, welcome to the webinar. Tell me a little bit about your district, your career path. And yeah, let's hear it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. My name is Matt Fuller. I am the coordinator of operations at Talladega City Schools. And I'm a little bit of an outlier, Rick, in the fact that I'm not a bus guy. I've been an IT guy for 20 plus years. And I took this job last year. I'm over IT maintenance and transportation. And so, yes, yesterday was a great learning experience for me, just hanging out with some bus folks, some true bus folks. And I feel like I probably can speak more of Shay's language. I'm digging what you're stepping in there, Shay. So, I kind of have, I guess my story is started with the IT part. But we have 1,450 students, and we transport 900 students a day, twice a day, 58 routes with 13 bus drivers.
And because you're an IT guy, and I was
Mhm.
talking to Shay about this earlier too, you're not afraid to, like some people who may be on here are afraid of clicking certain buttons and they might break something. You're not one of those guys. I know Shay's not one of those guys.
Mhm.
What would you
Yes,
tell
sir.
somebody?
And
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like I have a little bit of an advantage over maybe a typical transportation director because I do have direct access to our SIS provider. And so I did work with Ben over at Transfinder to set up that connection. And so I do, I'm able to troubleshoot that myself if we have an issue. So yes, sir. I get to see our student input from digital enrollment all the way to our SIS and then into Transfinder. So that helps me. I think that gives me a little bit of an advantage to be able to troubleshoot those things that might be a little bit intimidating to maybe some other folks.
But
Yeah.
even with that, you still, I think yesterday we're mentioning about a walk before you run kind of approach where you said, I don't think we're even touching, we're getting a fraction of what we could get out of
That's
the
correct.
system.
That's correct. We wanted to start small because we started out with just pen and paper, and that's the way it's always been done up until last year here. And so we wanted to do a few small things, but we wanted to get really good at that with Routefinder. And so I would say, Rick, that we're still in that process, getting our folks on board, helping our folks. I know Kevin will talk about this later, but with his folks, and some of these people, some of these other panelists have a lot more in depth to speak about this than I do. But getting our non-techie folks on board, and getting them to where they're not intimidating, showing them revealing pain points, and then explaining to them. Jason will talk about this. They did a very good job at that, but explaining to them why we're solving that problem.
Very good.
Um,
That's
Hey, Rick,
that's
do you
been a
mind
big help for us.
if I add to Matt's points on this? Matt, you're coming
please.
from obviously a similar background to myself, right? One thing I've always encouraged folks, and some of you guys on this panel I've worked with directly and in training, it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to make a wrong click. It's okay to accidentally remove something or add something. We can help you guys fix it, and we can teach you
Yeah.
what you did.
That's a very
Man,
good
I tell you
point.
what, I think this is a good place for me to talk about how fantastic the support from the Transfinder folks. Ben Scarpine, my data guy with Transfinder. Man, I just got one word for him, and that's underpaid. The dude is fantastic. He and I spent several weeks just ironing out. I mean, literally, the data sits in a table, right? And so you've got to move it from one system to another system, and it all has to just land in the right place. And so Ben was very patient with us and getting all of that resolved. And I would say, man, wear that support out. They're awesome. I mean, I was on the phone with him some evenings. I know he was off the clock, but the dude was fantastic. So I
That's
can't speak
awesome.
high enough about that.
Well, it's good to hear, and I hear that a lot. And we have little fan clubs of many of our trainers and support team, and it's really awesome to hear. So that's great to
Yes,
hear
sir.
about Ben as well. All right, I'm going to move on to Jason. Jason, your name has already been referenced a few times, so you gotta, the bar has been set high here for you. Tell me a little bit about your career
Usually,
path. Because I'm sorry, go ahead.
usually it's not a good name that good reason my name gets referenced, but I'm glad it was this time. So yeah, Jason Hibbard, I'm the transportation supervisor here at Shenango Valley, upstate New York, just a little above PA border. We're 25 square mile district. We've got 1,800 students registered. We transport about 1,200. One of our big pain points this year has been the amount of out of district between McKinney Vento and special education's transportation has just gone through the roof. So that's been a huge thing we've been able to do. I guess, like Matt said, he's an outlier. I think I really am in this industry. I just actually retired after 26 years military. I worked on everything from F-16s to most any Army truck and was even in charge of the cooks for a while. So I come in with I can't stand the this is the way we've always done it type statement, and I'm really trying to. Shay's trained with me before, and how can I do this or how can I do that, and look for the different ways to think outside the box with all these shortages. So
That's great. And you are now, what district is this for you now? Is this your second district, or
this
you've
is
been?
my second district. So yeah, so I started this journey about 4 years ago with a sistering district. It's actually a district that I'm a taxpayer of. My children went to school in. Took over the transportation department there. They had Transfinder, and when I walked in, it was Pro. Started to learn it, but it was at a major transition time. Got a new superintendent on board about a month after I did, and we were able to convince him to upgrade to Plus. So that was my first, transition period, I guess, with Transfinder. And I am good with technology, and I pushed hard. And instead of learning Pro in about a month and a half, 2 months, it completely transitioned and went live from Pro to Plus. Moved everything over, allowed me to streamline all of our routing. We had a lot of, we were talking yesterday, one of the pain points with Pro. Um, I would carry almost 100 stops on a route and transport 40 kids because it was easier to leave the stop instead of creating one if somebody else moved into the house. So we were able to completely clean all that up. About 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago now, I guess I transferred over here for a little better opportunity. Honestly, only about 2 miles away, so it worked out real well. But we had a different provider at the time. My routing coordinator was fairly new. My head bus driver was fairly new. We're looking for something with some better training. And when I came in, I was able to, explain how we could do things better with Transfinder. And luckily enough, with the district at the time, we had the funds to, I guess I joke with Jim Nestico, our salesman, that he can't sell me anything else. We went full bore, um, plus Wayfinder, Stop Finder, Service Finder. We have the tablets on the buses. We have the student ID cards. Um, we're using Viewfinder and Trip Finder in the schools, and we just kind of did all of it. So
One of the things that I thought was interesting that you really spent time not just like saying, here's what we're going to do, but you actually like you went to the buildings to help them with Viewfinder. You really illustrated, I think Matt was alluding to this, um, helping them see the value of it, not just like this is what we're doing.
yeah, again, like I said, I came 2 miles away to a different school, so I already heard and had an idea where some of the problems were here and their struggles, and communication was the biggest one. And that was how I sold my plan to go with all these platforms through Transfinder. But I did. I also went to the building secretaries instead of chasing emails all day long on where's this student going or that. I got them set up with Viewfinder and I set their screens up for them and I did the training and got them logged in. So they're not looking at a data grid with all this information that they had no idea what they were doing. They got just what they need. So the middle school wasn't looking at all the elementary students; they were only looking at those grades, and vice
That's
versa.
great.
So that was a big deal.
So get your hands a little dirty.
Absolutely, you got to get the buy-in.
That's good. All right. Kevin,
Yeah,
welcome. So tell me a little bit about excuse me, tell me a little bit about your story and also your district. It's a big district.
yeah, I guess it's relative. Yeah, my name's Kevin McCafferty. I'm the operations manager in Colorado Springs School District 11. I've been here at the district in transportation. This is my 19th year. And as Rick always says, I'm actually retired. I've come back for an extra year. But um, what my experience has been, and I want to kind of focus on this transition stuff, is that when I first got here, we had software, well-known piece of software for routing that was using Fox Pro, and that hadn't been supported by Microsoft for 14 years. So we knew we had to make a change. So we went out, we did an RFP, we made a change to something more updated, more modern, that was using an Esri base for the maps because it was important to us because that's how we were going to do our boundaries and stuff and redistricting. So we used that software for many years. Did it have issues? Yes. Were we able to work around them? Yes. Was the support good when we got it? It was very good. But we didn't have as good a support as what we do with Transfinder, I can tell you that. So come to find out, they sent us a notification, said they're going to go out of that business. They're not going to be providing that software, and it's end of life. So we had 6 months to bring up a piece of software for us, and I'll tell you, we have about 58 schools. We've had 35,000 students. We've dropped down to about 23,000 students. We're still covering the same area. There's been lots of challenges. Our driver shortage. I mean, we're down about 40% of the drivers that we had pre-COVID. So we had a lot of changes we had to make, a lot of things we had to do, and we had 6 months to get more software running. And having gone through the first experience, it was very, very painful. We had the first week, we had 8,000 hits to our webpage looking for information. The phones were ringing off the wall. I got all kinds of nasty grams from central admin. So I wasn't really happy knowing that I was getting ready to retire, that we're going to have to change the software. So what we did is we did an RFP. We had about 36 vendors who put in an application to get the bid, and Transfinder, of course, was one of those. We went through the process of selecting people, and Transfinder rose to the top. And so you never know if you're making the right decision. And so when we made that decision, we were very pleased with the training, which got our people up to speed. And we have people that, have got very little technical skills to people that are very technical. So they were able to work at both sides of that to get people up to speed. They record all of the training so people can go back and reference it, which is something I had to do because I wasn't allowed to work in July because it's a state law. When you retire, you can't work in July. So now we're going to stand it up. I'm not going to be here. I can just see all kinds of nightmares happening. And then when I came back and everybody was running the stuff and it was working good, and I was so impressed. And I told Rick, and I got multiple calls the first time we changed software about InfoFinder, what would be InfoFinder I, where the parents get information, where the real estate agents get information. And I mean, I was getting emails from the superintendent's office. What are you going to do to fix this? We got this complaint, all kinds of stuff. And I thought, man, this could go really bad. It might be a really early retirement for me. So it didn't happen. And like I told Rick, I got 0 calls on InfoFinder, 0. And generally, what we found over the years is when any type of that forward-facing application for the community goes down, if I come into my office in the morning at 8 o'clock, I usually have 3 calls on my phone from real estate agents who want to know what school their kid goes to and where are the bus stops, because that's how they sell houses. So we get none of that. And so the map was in very good shape. It was very easy to manipulate. I've done lots and lots of map work. We were very impressed with the fact that Transfinder has the ability to do some redistricting in it, to modify boundaries, to change those things. And one of the things with Transfinder, which doesn't get said enough, is that when you do a stop, you're going to put a boundary around that stop. And you're going to say, this is the kids that are going to that stop, which means you don't have kids that are automatically assigned that have to go across a busy street. And that's huge when it comes to safety. And I'll tell you a story. We had a student that ran across a street, was hit and killed because he was going to a stop that he shouldn't have been going to. So it's very, very near and dear to my
That was
heart.
pre-Transfinder, I'm hoping.
That was pre-Transfinder. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Just
So
want to clarify that.
yeah, no, it's pre-Transfinder. That's very near and dear to my heart because
Yes.
that's the kind of thing that shouldn't happen. So
No.
there's some safeguards in Transfinder that not only I get that makes it easier for the routers, all that kind of stuff, but we all know we're all about safety for those students. So those are the kind of things that have drawn us to Transfinder. And since we've been with Transfinder, we have been very, very pleased and impressed with the customer service, because I think you'll find that no matter how difficult something seems, if you've got some support, you're going to be able to take care of it. And I think that that's the thing. Transfinder really has a wraparound. We're going to take care of you. And, if nothing else, that would be the reason to go to Transfinder. But we've been pleased with the reporting on it. I think I can't say anything bad about it. I'm very happy about the decision. And knowing that I'm not going to be here next year, I feel like we're leaving the district in a very good place. And we have all the training recorded. So if a new person comes in, they can take the time to go in there and see the same training. I just can't say enough. And the people have been very, very helpful. Our project manager, our trainers, support. If you go in there to chat, you go in, put it in, you got a response right away. You got somebody helping you out. I just can't say enough about the customer service.
Well, thanks, Kevin. A couple of things about the that student that died. I remember when Tony, our CEO, Tony Civitella, talked about with Plus the ability to make it like a rule that no students cross any streets to get to the bus, and how important that was, and that you'd have to override a district policy. Like, it wouldn't just happen by mistake. Like, you would have to, intentionally say, yeah, I guess there's like 2 miles of visibility and you can allow a student to cross the street, but that it had to be an effort to do that. So I remember him going into the office, and coming out and announcing, like, this is a feature that we have to highlight. So
Very important.
2 things that you said yesterday was there's a relative young company on the field today, and you basically told them, I don't have time to help you mature your product. I thought that was kind of an interesting because it's like not you don't want people to learn as they go along, and like that's the one thing I think that we do like to highlight is, we've been in business for 37 years, and we've so much of our product is actually because of people like you. Shay, would you agree with that? Much of our product is as a result of the feedback we get from our clients.
Absolutely. And, I'm not going to put Jason on the spot here, but I know a feature that has come to Routefinder Plus directly from something that Jason has requested. We listen. We listen to what you guys have to say. And whether it's your project manager, your trainer, a support person, if you give us feedback and you say, hey, we'd love to see something like this, we can talk directly with our developers and we can put it in our queue. So we love to hear from you guys. And Routefinder Plus has definitely taken on a personality reflective of our clients.
For sure. And Kevin, the other thing you said is you had this great quote where you said like not to be scared. You said you have the community.
Oh,
You
that's
don't
true
feel
too.
like
Yeah, the community is very underrated because you can just go in there and look, and there's there's webinars that have been recorded. There's your webinars that are in there. There's all kinds of just quick help guides on how to do something. And I don't know that I found anything that's not got something in there. And then once you go in there, there's links to other things that are associated with that. And the training department, whoever's putting that together, has done a very good job of providing information for people. And we utilize it a lot.
great. Bob, you have a very interesting story. By the way, Bob's going to be and his district are going to be featured in an upcoming school bus ride publication. That's the official publication of NAPT. So you're going to be seeing more of Bob in the future. Bob, thanks for doing that. Tell me a little bit about your career path, but also the district. You have a unique story.
Well, first of all, it's great to be here and have the opportunity, and I'm humbled with the other the panel. I mean, you guys are just great. So looking forward to it. But my journey, I've really been here with 3 districts over the last 12 years. In the first district, we migrated from VersaTrans into Routefinder Pro. 5 years later, I was at another growing district, and again, we moved from VersaTrans over to Routefinder Pro. I arrived here at Mount Vernon Community School Corporation here in central Indiana about 2.5 years ago. And with that, they were on bus right. And I took the time to dive into that and learn about it. And then I just made the decision that, hey, it's time to go to Transfinder and just the tools in terms of you're feeling a little apprehensive about going to Plus. I mean, with Transfinder, you get, and everybody's talked about it already, is the post-sale customer support. That's the best part about it. Community, the project managers, the trainers, the sales support staff, all of those all come together. They're all integrated, and it's seamless. They do a great job. So that's the number one thing. Number two is really the product line, the suite of products from Plus to Viewfinder, TripFinder, StopFinder, Wayfinder. All those that we're using today, and Jason's even using the RF, the attendance. It's just phenomenal what the growth and capability that this does, but it allows us to train the secretaries, bring them up to speed, and really, like everybody's talked about, reduce the calls. The next thing is report generation for me, is critical. When the superintendent wants certain reports, Transfinder has it all there to where now, back in the day, it used to be Bob, coincidentally, that would create these reports for you. Now you can go into Viewfinder and create your own reports and get really specific data for the superintendent, for the school board, especially like the sandbox feature. We're growing so fast. We transport our district's 4,000 or right at 5,000 kids. We transport 3,500. And I've talked to other districts. What did you do? End up going to a 3-tier system. The unique thing about Transfinder is I can go in the sandbox and create all the routes in a 3-tier system, and then we can do a comparative analysis with the 2-tier system and fuel costs, driver costs, the mileage, all that, and I can provide that real data to them, and it's super exciting. So those are the 4 areas that I see for my decision matrix, if you will, and I've worked with Power School and Skyward, the data integration, and Transfinder always had my back on all that.
So you've seen Plus, I mean, you've seen Pro, and again, we talk like lovingly and respectfully about Pro, but
Mhm.
like, are there like what is missing? Like for those that are maybe are on Pro still, or maybe you also seen other systems, like what features specifically would you say really do reduce those pain points that everybody, and by the way, for those of you who I haven't seen a lot of questions yet, what's a pain point? So this is for those in attendance. Give me a pain point or any other insights or thoughts that you have on what the panelists have said so far, because I'm monitoring it. Um, but what kind of pain points that like have been eliminated basically by going with Plus?
With Plus, and from the very beginning, the CEO of Transfinder, Tony, has talked about, again, being able to assign. This is the best part. You got a parcel and you can assign the child to a specific stop, right? And they don't have to cross. That's really critical because the other ones use an algorithm and they can be crossing the streets or whatever. So that the fundamental basis of that is huge. And then what Jason alluded to earlier, just in terms of cleaning up your routes, the manageability, because people are moving all the time. The scheduling, it's just seamless because we've got, and we're not alone in this. I mean, people go through divorce. They've got the children are going 1 week here, 1 week there. They've got a variety of schedules, and Transfinder Plus actually can adapt to that very quickly and provide real time data to our drivers who have Wayfinder. Now, you don't necessarily have to have Wayfinder and the tablet on that, but that's how we manage it. Because if we our job really, I see for our drivers, is to train them, but also provide them with the best information. And Plus does that.
Great.
And
I'm going to
Bob,
throw
you
that
said it
question.
good.
Go.
Sorry, Rick, but Bob, you said it good too with the like a sand table type, being able to look at multiple things. One of the most powerful things I've been able to do is overlay all my routes so I can look at it and I can see where, you go year to year to year and you add a kid here, take a kid away, a couple more here, a different building. And next thing you know, you've got a lot of inefficiencies in your routing and you can't see it. And with the ability to be able to overlay all your routes over top of it and see where things are inefficient and move it around. The other side of it, like I said, with the practice per se, is the ease of creating a whole nother data source that I can sit and play around in. And hey, if I screw it up, oh well. And I laugh because Shay's kind of shaking his head. I think we were in training and working together, and all of a sudden I ruined my whole data source. And within 5 minutes, it was all back and everything was perfectly fixed. And we went on with our afternoon routing and had no problem. So, yeah, like just to allude what you were saying, there's two big things that have been very powerful for us.
And it's huge with that data source because you're actually using the student data themselves. I mean, it's a mirror image of what you already use, and you can have all the routes up. And in terms of best practice, we look at UPS and FedEx and their policies, and how can we do right turns only? How can we minimize the inefficiencies? And Plus just allows us to do that. And you don't have to be a computer science major. No offense to anybody out there, but you don't have to be a computer science major to do this. And if you do it and it screws up, Transfinder's got you back with the entire support team. So
That's great. Kevin, I mean, you have a massive driver shortage, correct? I mean, and you've been able to, Plus has helped you with overcoming that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff, honestly, we've done prior to Transfinder, but it does help us because we're able to take a look at, same thing. We're looking at the routes, we're overlaying them, we're seeing where the stops are at, we're seeing where there's hazards, all those kinds of things. And we're, honestly, we're supporting some of the stuff with cars, which we are trying to reduce because they're very expensive. But a lot of our McKinney-Vento, that sort of thing. I mean, we have, I'd say we probably have, I don't know, generally McKinney-Vento that we transport several hundred every year. So, and they're all over the place, and they could be, 40 miles out of town. We still transport them. And so all those things, and that's one of the things we're working at now is try to get the car service where we can overlay that with our SPED and other routing to see if there's some ability to save some money from cars, because I don't know how many people are using cars out there. They're very expensive. And there's lots of companies out there doing that, and we're trying to reduce that car service and put them on buses. And I think Transfinder is going to be the key to helping us do that. And that's what we're in the process of doing right now.
Has Routefinder Plus specifically, I mean, have you guys found a savings? I mean, I don't want to go down the line. Anybody who has any thoughts on it? I mean, okay, Elizabeth, I see you nodding your head. So if you're nodding your head,
Yeah.
I'm calling on you.
My router and I would spend 12 hours a day for upwards of a month to get our routes together for the new school year. And this summer, we just kind of looked at each other because we were bored. Like even the 8-hour day was more than sufficient to get what we needed to get done. And he just looked at me and he's like, I hate to say this, but I'm bored. And this was August. So usually that's our crunch time and we're like exhausted, but it was so much easier. We set up a form for parents to request transportation. We were able to connect that form straight to Routefinder Plus, and it essentially did it for us. We just
Great.
had to create the stops.
That's awesome. I want to keep that question with everybody, but Christy, I am going to get to your question in a minute. And I do want to ask the people who are attending, anybody else out there bored in July and August? I'd love to hear, because we do, Elizabeth, you didn't say that yesterday. That's a great quote, I got to say. I've never heard anybody say that, so that's great.
Like, I do
Anybody
wanna
else save
add-
money? I'm
I
sorry.
do want to add to that point, if you don't mind. I'd go back to my training days, and I'd always work with folks that whenever they get to me, right, you're getting all of your data, everything's starting to pile up, you're anxious, you're ready to get into training. And I can't tell you the number of folks I'd start working with in April, May, and you could feel like, oh my gosh, I have so much I have to do. And I would always tell folks at one point or another, it feels like a lot now, but I guarantee you there's going to be a part, it's usually right around 8 to 10 weeks or so, where you're going to call me and you're going to say, hey, you know what? I feel pretty good today. I'm going to miss
Good.
it today. I'm going to miss our training session. Happened with every single person I worked with. And I see all of our panelists here shaking their head. Yes, I feel like they would
I
all
love
agree
it.
in some way, shape, or form.
I love it. Anybody else save money? Sorry for my voice, guys. Anybody else save money with a Plus?
I mean, Rick, like I said, going from Pro to Plus, I mean, we were holding 100+ stops on a route because it was easier to leave them than it was to reroute new students. I mean, we were able to clean up routes, we were able to find the efficiencies. And then, like Elizabeth said too, I don't want to say we were bored this summer, but we were able to help out a neighboring district whose supervisor up and quit a month before the start of school. We went up and my routing coordinator and myself redid their whole routing system, which hadn't been updated in about 5 years. Their data sources were pointed to the wrong areas. And we were able to sit down with their drivers and fix and set up all their routing for the school year with rave reviews in a matter of a couple of weeks. You know, it wasn't
That's
a full
awesome.
summer project.
That's awesome. You know, I do want to encourage you. We talk about community, Transfinder community, which is an online portal, which has it's like do-it-yourselfers like dream. But beyond that, we have the actual Transfinder community of people that if you live in an area where there are other Transfinder users, that they will help you. I mean, just like Jason said, I mean, I hear it all the time. I mean, I'm in New York, so everybody in Schenectady County has Transfinder, and you know, we have like I think 2/3 of every district here. So, so I just have never seen someone not help somebody that's a fellow user of Transfinder technology. So just utilize that community as well. Chris. So by the way, Crystal, there's a Christy and a Crystal. Crystal said that she wishes that she was bored in August. So hopefully we can help you be bored in August. And Christy's question is, and I'll throw it out to anybody, probably those in Arizona or Alabama are not going to be all that helpful for this one, but we are in the process of implementing inclement weather routes. I would be interested if any of you have inclement weather routes and how you implemented them and communicated that information with parents. So anybody want to tackle that?
I guess I kind of could, Rick. I mean, I don't go as far as creating implement or inclement weather routes. However, the fact that we've got the tablets and we've got the parents that are actually using the Stop Finder app, I can move buses around, I can move routing around, I can move everything around. And the second I hit save on on Plus, the parents are getting it to their app and they're seeing the actual schedule. We allow them to see the GPS of where the buses are. We had a out of district school today, had a 1 hour delay, so it made a bunch of problems. The parents are watching it on the app. Unfortunately, my driver tried to get ahead of the game and do attendance before he actually picked the kids up. I got 4 or 5 phone calls. Hey, how come my kid's on the bus, but he's standing here in front of me right now? So just the fact of having that real time access, I don't have the need personally to create the routes, but when I have the need to move things around, it's very easy to communicate it. It's very easy to get that information over.
I like to add on to that what Jason said. It really is for us with StopFinder. It's seamless because we can trade the bus and the driver can actually substitute the bus right on the spot. Hey, I moved over to the sub bus. It logs it in, and we're up and running. And we can send the messages seamlessly to the parents and the end users of the StopFinder. And so, yeah, it's doing that has helped eliminate really the routings. Like, hey, listen, there's a flood zone. We know that this stop has moved to this point, and to avoid that flood zone in the event of heavy rain or what have you. So, yeah, I think Jason is right on with what we're talking about with StopFinder and how useful it is.
That's great. Crystal, by the way, added that she didn't sleep for 2 months straight trying to get routes in, and it sounds like it was a challenge for sure. Joanne mentioned something about just how do you fit it all into your schedule when you're implementing new technology, you're building new routes, and yet you're still also doing your daily work. You have your meetings, you have all that stuff. Any thoughts on how to, like, I guess, make it all work and just juggling that kind of, schedule that you guys have that can have a lot of things pulling at you?
My last school, when I did it the first time from Pro to Plus, I was actually the only employee of the school district in transportation. We used a contracted service. So I didn't have to do payroll. I didn't have to do the HR portion, but I was in charge of all the routing. I had to supervise all that, the changes, this type of thing. You just got to make it a priority, because once you get through the implementation and the training, the time just grows exponentially, because the older processes, the harder processes are much simpler, and you gain it, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to say, when we were doing our training, Rick, the thing that I noticed was that our trainer was very flexible in saying, okay, where's the things that we need to have some help? And this kind of plays to the part where you got some people that are more technically challenged. And so if they're there, we can spend more time on that and less time on other things that we need to cover. And so our trainer was very good at allowing us to kind of swap stuff around a little bit out of the normal syllabus, I would say, so that we can get the things that we need to get done accomplished. And so tailored to what we needed. And that was very, very helpful. And I think that's because I really feel like the trainers want us to be successful. And so it's one thing to be a trainer and just show up. It's another one, I really want you to be successful. And how's this going? And what other things do you need? And so that was very advantageous for us, because in some cases we might focus on something. There's some people that don't even need that training because they got it the first time. That's okay. But it is hard because you have all these shifts, people coming in at 5 o'clock in the morning, going home at 6 at night. And people got to take lunches and midday stuff and everything. But you just have to pick a time that people can be there. And I would say flexibility was the key with your training staff. And we really appreciated it.
Actually, that was one of the words I think you said. There were 2 factors. I think you said flexibility was a critical one. Am I correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to stick with this with Joanne, because she had one last thing, and she asked if anyone, if Transfinder comes on site, and we do. I don't know if any of you have had us come on site. Shay, I know you could talk a little bit about us coming on site.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to travel all across our country, from coast to coast, going on site and helping folks. It's something that we do very willingly. You get someone like myself that'll come and sit with your team over, typically we do 3-day on sites, and literally we'll work with you beforehand, come up with an agenda on everything you want to cover from start to finish, and we'll we'll help you hammer home what you need to.
Great. Thank you, Joanne. We don't want to drop that. So let's, maybe we can circle back after to get you the help you need. Thank you very much for sharing that. Um, was there a time when we talked a little bit about this where you actually felt like, you were on the hot seat if you didn't make a change, or you were concerned about your career if you did make a change and things didn't go, things went south or something? Anybody want to talk a little bit about that, maybe stress of, you know, being the point person for the bringing in Transfinder technology?
Yeah, I'll speak to that quickly, Rick. The first time we changed our software, our routing software, as I said, it wasn't very pleasant. And I literally had the superintendent assigned the assistant superintendent to get to the bottom of it. So I had to basically volley all kinds of emails with him on what we're doing, how we're going to solve it, all those kinds of things.
And that was again pre-Transfinder software.
Pre-Transfinder.
Yes.
Yeah, it was actually our first routing software to the second routing software. And so when we were coming up on moving to Transfinder, I had a lot of apprehension because I just didn't know that it was going to go smoothly, because I already had experience with this whole process. So I was very, very concerned, especially since I wasn't going to be here in July for the stand-up. And none of that came to pass. And so I was very, very happy. But I was pleasantly surprised. But I was a little bit, you don't want people on your case. And like I say, I was retired. So it could have been they just say, you can stay retired. Don't come back. So
Anybody
yeah, I
else
have
have any?
apprehension. Yeah.
And you're glad it didn't, in the end, the worst case scenario never happened.
It didn't happen. It went very well.
Anybody else?
Well, and for me, it builds on having implemented it several times. Now, I have the confidence in Transfinder and the support that when the superintendent, like I said, we're growing, when they just said, "Hey, I need this data," and look at a third tier, those types of things is that I can provide real data so that the school board and that the superintendent can make a decision, an informed decision on what we're going to do. We added a new school, an intermediate school, and I told my boss I want to be the lead on this because I want to set the bell times. He's like, "Are you sure it's kind of out of our lane?" I'm like, "It's exactly in our lane." I go, "We need to take it's everything that we do is timing." So we dictated, what was going to happen, and I had the confidence that Transfinder was going to be able to come through, and they absolutely did. Because just know this, in terms of being fearful, you don't have to do this on your own. They are there to help you, and just as Shay had talked about, one step at a time. Matt had talked about it, one step at a time. That's all we all do. And pretty soon you look back and you've traveled a long, long way. So, yeah, it's been a great experience for me for what I've done, and with Jason and Kevin and Elizabeth and everybody. It's impressive, and I would just encourage you, if you have any questions, get a hold of Rick and just let us know how we can help.
Jason touched on this a little bit, but if you others and Jason, you can obviously add to it as well. How did you bring in those people that were maybe out and out resistant? Not just that they weren't techie, but they actually were like downright, and maybe you didn't have any, but if anybody had any that were,
I did.
Go ahead, Matt. Tell me, how did
I did for sure, Rick. So, like we all face, we don't get the 25-year-old tech gurus to be bus drivers. It's the people that are on a retirement and trying to enjoy later on in life. And so I brought in tablets, and everybody's frankly freaking out over it. And this is nuts. And what are we going to do? And oh my gosh. And so I brought everybody in for a couple days early before the school year. We worked through the training. And I'll be honest with you right now, even my least tech savvy, oldest driver, not comfortable with anything, I don't think could do a route anymore without it. And we brought on the ID cards, and that was not difficult at first, but that was a struggle because it's another thing and it didn't work and that. We smoothed our process out, and again, like I said today, we're moving around schools because of one out of district has a delay and the rest of us are on time, and just the fact that you can do real-time attendance. we talked yesterday. I've got a couple older drivers that do a late run for, we call it homework club. And, you never know who's going to ride the bus that night. You never know where they live. I've got two buses that cover the entire district, not just a normal route. And now with being able to do real-time attendance as the students get on the bus, Wayfinder builds the route for me while the students are coming up the stairs getting on the bus. And now, instead of a 5 or 10 slips in the driver's hand to try to get some kids home, we got a route built in front of us, and they know exactly where they're going. They know exactly who is on the bus. We've tied all of our pictures from our student picture day and everything to the IDs. So when they get on the bus and you put the student's name in, the little tile pops up with their picture, and it's Jason standing there in front of you. So those little nuances that drivers always struggled with paper, even my least techie driver, most resistant to it, absolutely loves it now.
Great.
Rick,
Anybody else?
after listening to Jason, I think you have to charge me admission, brother, to this session. But we are not using that many products. We decided to start a lot smaller. And so I do think I'm going to have to give Brian Kiefer a call and ask about that that product. But one thing that we did get out of Routefinder Plus, Transfinder Plus, was the reports. I know that they've been talked about, and not to beat a dead horse, but the communication that has stepped up in our district because we're using this. So we had almost everybody involved were considered non-techie here. So what I did, and I think this may help even rolling back to what Joanne was asking about. If there's one thing that to describe the things that go on in our district, bored or boring is not one of them. We're at a loss of time just because of just the size of our district and the size of our staff. And so multiple people are doing multiple things all the time. So one thing that I did, we're not using near all of the bells and whistles that we could be, and that we will be using with Transfinder. But what I did, I built a small website and I made some little practice videos working with Stephen, our trainer, who was fantastic. I was able to express many of our pain points to Stephen, and we tailored all of our training around that. And so what I did, I built a simple website, and it's just got, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 small 2-minute videos. This is exactly how we do this. When I did that and provided it to those non-techie people, it was like a light bulb went off, and now we've got up to 5 people at any given time in our district that can do our routing, can manage our routing, are comfortable with our routing.
That's
And
great.
so,
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. All right, we're getting close to the end. I want to have you guys give one takeaway. Sometimes just hearing that last takeaway, it'll bring back other things. I'm going to start with you, Elizabeth. And basically that thing that you people who have been attending, um, that they would take back to their office, maybe take back to their team or take back to their superintendent. What's one thing, Elizabeth, that you would want them to take away?
We have been able to achieve maximum efficiency for our routing and safety for our students.
Great. Thank you. Kevin, I'll go Kevin, Matt, Jason, and Bob will close us up with Shay.
Yeah, I guess I'd like to say that as far as I'm concerned, Transfinder is really the flagship product in this area, and you can't go wrong with it. So if you're not doing an RFP and you just got to pick one, it would be Transfinder.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Kevin. Matt?
Yeah, for me, look, we're all in the people business. Without people, you don't have buses. Without buses, you don't need a routing software. And so I think Transfinder routing software is fantastic, but the value in the software is the people behind the product. And so I would say to anyone listening, find out what your pain points are. Go to your training folks, express that, articulate that to them, and then take on things one at a time and just watch all of your processes get better one at a time.
Very good. Jason?
I just want to go back to the title and the fear. Don't be afraid. I am far from perfect. I've done it. I've ruined my database. I mean, I've dumped the whole thing and, oh no, what are we going to do? And honestly, it only takes a matter of minutes to recover it. You got a question, you've got the community online, you've got your trainers. There is not a thing here to be afraid of. Roll it out to your staff that doesn't have the core products. There's nothing they can do to mess up your database. So
Great.
there's
Thanks so
really
much.
nothing for me to be afraid of.
That's a great takeaway. Bob.
All right, just to wrap up real quick. So really with what Kevin, Matt, and Jason said, and Elizabeth, one, for successful implementation, make it a priority. Develop your training team and communicate what you're doing and how you're going to do it. And I think you're going to do fine. So don't be afraid. Just go for it.
Good. I love it. Shay?
I think it sounds disingenuous when I say this, but hearing these folks from around the country say it really is impactful. Guys, having lived the world of the trainer, having done it for 4 or 5 years before I came over to this role, we don't treat it as you're a client. You're our partner. We want to see you successful. We want to hear from you. We want to see what we can do to make you guys better. And, I'm going to take something that Matt just said. We're in the people business. I got fortunate enough to be shipped around this country to train folks on how to use our tablet. I got to sit down with drivers. I got to sit down with 82-year-old John here in Central Texas and have him tell me a tablet's not going to tell me how to do my job. And I just told him the realities of, hey, this is the future. Spend a little bit of extra time, and he got it. If I can teach an 82-year-old how to use a tablet, anybody can use this stuff.
Oh, that's good. That's good, Shay. I want to thank our panelists. Great conversation. Just really enjoyed it. And I really just so appreciative of our clients who are so passionate about what they do. And our kids are well served by you. Thanks to all the attendees. Great comments, great questions. If you're on this webinar, if you attended it or you're a panelist, you definitely need to be enrolled in the Top Transportation Teams program. You're already a step above. I mean, you're looking at ways that you can get better and do your job more efficiently, more safely for our kids. So please look at toptransportationteams.com. It's completely free. And what it does is you will be able to see, even if you don't win, you will be able to see, areas that you're great and strong in and areas that maybe you could do a little bit better. And it's all, I think it's all beneficial. Thanks so much, Arnold. You can go to the next one. If you have a story, whether you're a client or not, we always want to get as many stories as we can to share how people are doing their jobs that make their operation run efficiently and better. And so we share these all the time, and I may ask you to be on a webinar in the future. So just know that. But please email mystory@transfinder.com. Lastly, we are scheduling our next webinar for 2026. I don't know if that sounds weird to you. It kind of sounds weird to me. January 29th. And between now and then, I hope you all have a very happy holiday, a very Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. You guys deserve a break. I hope you get a little bit of a break during the holiday season, and then you kick it back up again in January. But looking forward to seeing you all on January 29th. And until then, have a great rest of your day.
Hey.